You ever use something like ChatGPT and just wonder, how does it actually work? Like, how does it go from knowing basically everything on the internet to giving you a genuinely helpful answer? Well, it's not magic. It's this really cool training process called alignment. And today, we're going to break down exactly how that happens, step by step.
Right. So here's the big question we're tackling. How do you take an AI that's read the entire internet, it's got all the knowledge, but has no idea how to talk to you, and turn it into something useful? How do we align it with what we actually want? Teach it to be helpful and maybe just as important, harmless.
Okay, look at this. This slide pretty much sums it all up, right? It's the classic before and after. On the left, you've got your untrained model. You ask it a simple question and you get that. Total gibberish. But on the right, after the alignment process, you ask the same question and bam, a clear, helpful, conversational answer. That journey from the mess on the left to the perfect response on the right, that's what this is all about.
So how do we do it? What's the secret sauce? Well, it turns out to be this really clever three-stage training process. Think of it like a journey that takes all that raw, chaotic AI potential and carefully shapes it, one step at a time, into the helpful tool we actually want to talk to. All right, part one, building the foundation. First things first, before an AI can be helpful, it has to learn the language. You can't have a good conversation if you don't know the words, right? This is the bedrock. Everything else we're going to talk about is built right on top of this. And this part happens in two big steps. Step one is called pre-training. This is where the model basically just reads a lot. We're talking a massive chunk of the internet. Think all of Wikipedia and then some. Its only job is to learn how to predict the very next word in a sentence. This gives it that huge, vast knowledge base. Then, step two is supervised fine-tuning. This is where humans get involved. We give the model a much smaller, hand-picked dataset of perfect questions and perfect answers. It's like giving it a cheat sheet to learn the basic format of a helpful conversation. Okay, but here's the catch, and it's a big one. Creating that perfect dataset of human-written answers, it's incredibly slow and super expensive. You have to pay teams of actual people to sit there and write out thousands of ideal responses. And because of that, this fine-tuning dataset is always going to be pretty small, relatively speaking.
And a small dataset leads to this classic problem in machine learning called overfitting. What does that mean? Well, the model gets really good at answering the exact questions it saw in the training data. It basically memorizes the answers. But ask it something new, something even slightly different, and it just falls flat. It can't generalize. So clearly, this isn't going to scale. We need a better way.
And this is where we get to the breakthrough, the really cool part. It's a technique called reinforcement learning with human feedback, or, and you've probably heard this acronym, RLHF. This is where the process gets seriously clever.
So the core idea behind RLHF is this simple, but honestly brilliant change in thinking. The creators realized, hey, writing a perfect answer from scratch is hard and takes forever. But you know what's fast and easy? Just picking which of two answers you like better. So that's what they did. The human trainers stopped being authors and instead they became judges.
Let me walk you through an example of how this actually works. So first, we take our fine-tuned model and we give it a prompt, just like a person would. Something like, what is a good YouTube channel for learning about AI? The model then goes and generates a few different answers. And because these things work on probabilities, they don't always give the exact same response every time. You get these slight variations. So it might say the channel is good, or maybe it's great, or even awesome.
Okay, so now these different answers get shown to a human labeler, and all they have to do is pick the one they like more. That's it. So in this case, they decide that awesome sounds better, a little more enthusiastic than just good. It seems like such a simple choice, right? But when you do this thousands and thousands of times, you create this incredibly powerful data set, a clear signal of what humans actually prefer.
All right, so now we have this massive collection of preference data, thousands, maybe millions of examples of this answer is better than that one. So what do we do with it? Well, we use all that data to train another AI, an AI that's going to act as our automated human judge.
This AI judge has a special name. It's called the reward model. What we do is take a copy of our original language model and we retrain it to do one very specific thing. Look at any response and predict which one a human would prefer. It's learning to mimic the human judges, and its job is to give every answer a score, a reward, that represents how helpful or good it is. And the goal when we're training this reward model is super straightforward. We teach it to give high positive scores to the answers that humans liked and low, even negative scores to the ones they didn't. It becomes a proxy, an automated stand-in for human judgment that can work at an unbelievable scale and speed. And this AI judge, this reward model, it's the final piece of the puzzle. Now that we have an automated system that can score any response instantly, we can finally train our main AI model on a massive scale. We can close the loop.
So this is what that final training loop looks like. It's a constant cycle. First, the main model gets a totally new prompt and generates a response. Step 2, that response immediately gets sent over to our AI judge, the reward model, which gives it a score. And step 3, that score, that reward, is used as feedback to tweak the main model, pushing it, nudging it to create answers that will earn an even higher score next time. It's just generate, judge, improve, over and over and over again.
And this right here shows you that process in action. On a totally new prompt, the model's first try might be kind of vague, not very helpful. It gets a low score from the AI judge. But after doing that feedback loop thousands of times, it learns to come up with a much better response, one that's specific, helpful, and gets a high reward score. See? It's finally learned how to generalize beyond that small initial data set. And that brings us right back to the beginning. We've completed the journey. We've gone from an untrained model that could only spit out nonsense, all the way to a fully aligned model that gives you smart, helpful, and nuanced answers. The alignment quest is complete.
And there you have it. That is how a large language model learns to be helpful, harmless, and aligned with what we actually want it to do. It's that combination of pre-training, a little bit of supervised fine-tuning, and then, most importantly, that powerful reinforcement learning loop with an AI judge.
But this whole process leaves us with one last, and maybe the most important question of all. This entire system is built on aligning AI to human preferences, which sounds great, but it kind of begs the question, right? In a world with billions of people, all with different values, different cultures, different opinions, whose preferences are we actually choosing? Who gets to decide what good looks like for our AI? That's a big one to think about.